detail, yeah.
I think you need that, right?
I don't know.
Do you want me to hold this?
I'm torn whether I need this or not, right? You know, how are you guys doing? All right. I think I could probably get away without using this. So what we're going to talk about is the operating system. How do you establish an ongoing program management discipline that is not the traditional PMO, waterfall, milestone-oriented approach? It's an operating system that subscribes to Lean principles and executes using Agile techniques. Right? And the goal of implementing an operating system like that is to level up the citizenship of your analytics program to be a first-class citizen, just like your marketing programs are, your sales program, all the key strategic initiatives that are going on across an enterprise. Where can analytics help? That's why we want to have it at this citizenship level, right? So let's get in and talk about it, right? All right. So this is what we're going to cover is what I want to get companies more and more comfortable with is an ongoing planning discipline with a regular cadence that's always looking at what am I going to do over the next 12 to 18 months with analytics to enable the business to achieve their strategic initiatives. Where can I help marketing get more effective on the marketing spend? What kind of analysis can I do? What kind of machine learning modules can I build to optimize our campaign target audiences, things like that, so that I can get a better take rate, right? Which results in a lift in marketing qualified leads, which should result in a lift in sales qualified leads, right? And I want the analytics to prove that stuff, right? So all the way from machine learning models to get better at our segmentation to the ongoing performance analysis. How are we doing? Are we moving the needle the right way? I want to plan. I want a constant 12-month plan that's linked to the business strategy that drives that. And then we'll talk through some of the artifacts that get created. It's a one-page canvas. At a glance, this is the analytics program, and here's the things we're trying to achieve. And then it's supported by a series of product increment definitions or a product release plan. And I use the word product very succinctly. We're constantly saying this. We don't do projects. We build data products and we build analytic products. And we're trying to get our customers more and more comfortable, because what I'm trying to get away from is the waterfall or the watermelon moment that you have with milestone-based project execution, where I'm green, my red light is, my stoplight, it's green, it's green, it's green, and now we're getting ready for deployment time, and we hit the watermelon open, it's like, holy shit, it's all red inside, right? And that, because we're setting these milestones up, it's a flawed process. Like, I need you to do this. I need you to tell me how much it's going to cost. I said, well, we really don't understand a lot of the details. No, I need a cost because we got to put it in the budget, and I need you to have it done by, pick an arbitrary date, and then you get held to it. And there's all this discovery that has to happen, and all the crap, especially in data and analytics space. But data hygiene is never good. You just presume that, and that's another Agile thing, is presume variability and preserve options. So anyway, we're going to talk through some of these artifacts that we get created. All right. So the whole lean thing, it's this relentless imperative to continuously do all this stuff, right? I want to continuously innovate. I want to ideate on new ideas. Where can analytics move the needle? I want to continuously integrate those new ideas and deploy them, and then learn, right? So it's the old plan, do, check, act is being hinted there, and there's two primary bodies of stimuli that forces us to do this and get really, really good at this wheel. Is internal riptides. What I'm talking about there is your people within your organization. They have good ideas on where things need to be optimized or where things need to change to improve the life of an employee, right? And improve our services and quality to our customer. And then the external rhythms, the marketing events and world events that are taking place, like pandemics, like barges getting shoved into the side of the Suez Canal, like the double black swan oil thing, right? The ransom with our gas lines. These are huge events that really shook up the world. And over the last 2 years, I think as a whole, all companies are realizing we have to be much more agile. And we have to get really good at sensing these things and or maybe even getting ahead of it and simulate what if some of these things happen. Imagine the companies that simulated alternate routes for their goods as opposed to the Suez Canal, if they would have had backup suppliers. I mean, I forgot what the number was. It was like something like $500 billion a day were being lost because of the goods that were stuck in the Suez Canal. It was insane. So anyway, relentless pursuit of betterment, right? And then from an analytics program, I like this demand supply model. So the leaders in the business community should be generating demand for analytics. I need better analytics so that I can optimize marketing. I need better analytics so I can optimize my sales force, right? I need better analytics to get really good at customer service, right? I need better analytics to optimize my supply chain, minimize logistics costs, just-in-time inventory, right? All those kinds of things, right? So the business community, and I'm representing the office of the Chief Analytic Officer. Doesn't have to be a person. It's a functional role that should be played. Someone needs to be building analytic products and fostering the culture and creating this trusted advisor partnership across the functional unit owners or the line of business owners, right? And then being a gifted storyteller, I'm not talking about silver tongue, used car salesman, but you have to tell a compelling story. And then the last one's very, very important. Own the outcomes, the good outcomes and the not so good outcomes. Own them all, because everything is a learning opportunity for us. That creates the demand for the data. And then I've got the office of the data officer, right? The chief data officer, whose sole job is to build data products as supply to the analytic demand, right? And as I'm doing that, when I build a data product, I'm embedding rules for quality interrogation. I'm embedding rules for access controls, security controls, governance compliance, and soon ethical use of that data. Good hygiene, good hygiene data. Data with good hygienics. And then make it real easy to get to. It has to reduce the barriers to entry for the business community to access these data products so they can build their analytic products. The RIOT is an acronym that's redundant, incorrect, obsolete, and trivial. When I first built that, the one thing I'm going to back off on a little bit is obsolete or trivial, because the data scientists, they like attributes of data that typically are not in a cloud data warehouse, because typically mileage varies from customer to customer. Data warehouses were built for financial reporting. So the CFO had control. He was just looking for the important data elements, right? Well, the data scientist comes along, he or she wants all sorts of contextual data that is laying around. So where I'm saying it might be trivial or obsolete, we have to be careful. Maybe I'm going to gray those down a little bit. So it's this continued generation of data products to enable the analytic demand, right? That's the model that I'm wanting organizations to move to. And when we're getting ready to deliver any of these products, because we're in a product management mindset, you want to constantly deliver minimum viable products. And we interviewed a CIO. He was like a 4-time CIO magazine winner. And he said, I like minimum lovable product. Viable always kind of rubbed me the wrong way. But the point is something that's going to produce value. And the mindset also says, don't let perfection be the enemy of good. Get value out the door as quick as you can. Because The minimum part is as we get in and we discover that we don't have good hygiene in our data, we start compromising what we can deliver to the analytic stakeholders. But you keep focusing. It's like, all right, we ran into another issue. We got some options. We brainstormed it. We can pivot and keep going, or take a different route, or we can persevere and just chug it out, but it's going to take us a bit. And so you have these collaborative dialogues during the stand-ups and the sprint planning ceremonies and all that kind of stuff with your product manager. Okay? So our goal is we want to build the right things, right? We want to do the right things for the organization. Most of our customers, I almost said all, but hold me accountable, Julie. Most of our customers do not have a systemic way. They have no systems thinking when it comes to their analytics program. It's very shotgun. It's like, I need this, I need that. There's a lot of money is wasted.
We still have customers that have next in the queue.
Right?
Requests that's 6
Yeah.
months old.
Yeah, and there's statistics from the researchers like Gartner and Forbes and others that they're saying 75% of the analytics that we build for our business community go unused because either it took too long and the need's already passed, or it just doesn't fit their need, right? So we got to change that. So I want it linked to the strategic plan of the organization. Whatever form or fashion they have, every company's they have some kind of strategy that they're executing against, unless they're going out of business, which could be a strategy too, right? So the intent here is, from that strategy, you get these themes that are going to influence the work being done all the way down to the Agile team level. But we all understand why we're doing these analytics because it's linked to the enablement of some strategic initiative. And it also influences how we're going to fund the analytics program across the functional areas of the company. So that, I lovingly call this the planning onion, right? So I want a strategic portfolio, and that planning cadence has a 1 to 2 year planning horizon. You should revisit it at least quarterly, since it's only got about an 18-month window. And then supporting the portfolio is a set of product releases that we're looking to deliver between 6 and 9 months out. So what am I going to do over the next 2 to 3 quarters? I'm thinking out ahead, right? And then of all the products that are in the product release plan, things I want to build over the next 6 months, we prioritize what do we want to do next. This is going to be the product increment / MVP that we're going to roll out over the next 5 to 6 sprints, or 10 to 12 weeks, right? And then that drives down the objectives from the product increment, drives down and starts to populate the backlog for the Agile delivery team. So all the stories start to get populated here. And that planning is on a 2-week horizon. So every 2 weeks, which objective are we going to hit in this sprint? What software are we going to get working, et cetera. Does it make sense so far? And then you get this nice full transparency, because you got these linked back Kanbans, right? At the portfolio level, you can see where you're at. At the product release plan, you can see where you're at. And then at the team, the Agile delivery team, you can see where you're at any time. From an executive all the way down to the delivery team, everybody can see everything. Full transparency is a huge lean principle, right? When we deliver, this is our product delivery approach. The first thing we do is we want to do the discovery of the health of the organization, the current landscape, and where we see you don't have an analytics program, we want to consult with them to build that portfolio plan with them, right? And we'll drive it down to building the portfolio plan, create the product roadmap, find that first analytic product that we want to release, scope the MVP, and then do a short readout. Here's what the budget's going to be to do that first MVP, and then build that MVP. We got to exercise the memory muscle because we're doing things a little different. We might be exercising the use of new technologies. We're using different kinds of techniques for building data models and data architecture and all that. So you want to test this stuff out because Lean Principles says learn fast. And I hate fail fast. Actually, there's an acronym for fail, and it was like fast acceleration incremental learning or something like that. It's not fail fast. Everything's a learning opportunity, right? So you build that MVP, and then you do the readouts. This is what's pretty cool. We defined the value that we were going to get. We built the MVP. We've been prototyping it. We're seeing the value being realized. Isn't that cool? All right. What we'd like to do is fund the rest of the program. We'll productionalize that first MVP, and then let's just start delivering analytic products over and over again. This last phase here, inspect and adapt, again, a lean thing. At the end of every body of work, you do a very deliberate, what should we stop doing that is not value added? What should we start doing that we haven't been? And what should we stay the course on? And the things that we say that we should change, those become stories that are added into the next product release because we're going to implement process improvement along with any product release, which goes to the continuous learning discipline, okay? So if we're going to run a portfolio planning workshop, this is the flow. This is how I build my facilitated agenda. I start with, okay, let's see your strategic plan. I want to see what are you looking to do strategically across the organization. And I'm listening for, analysts can help there. Analysts can help there. We could do that. I'm starting to build them. And then in parallel, what's the company's current analytic capabilities? Is the business data savvy? Are they data hungry? What's their literacy? What tools are they comfortable using? Or are they fully reliant on a technical team, a constrained technical team, right? This drives to what kind of skilling we may need to do. This drives to what do we need to build. And then if there's a SWOT analysis, I like to look at the opportunities and threats that were identified, because those usually are areas of opportunity for market differentiation and disruption, right? So add those into the strategic initiatives as an input signal, right? And then we build that portfolio canvas, and we'll see an example out of that in a minute. And then we lay out first cut of the product releases we expect to build over the next 6 to 9 months. 5, 6, 7 products that we've identified, and these are very macro level definitions. And that's that 6 to 9 month planning horizon. And then we start to put some more details. What are the features, the analytic needs that we want to enable given how we're planning on building this product release to support that strategic initiative? And then what are the technology enablers that we may need to have in place prior to doing any development work? That gets prioritized and sorted down to poop out. It's like, this should be the next MVP. It's got the best value proposition that we can deliver in the shortest amount of time. Yeah? And then that all gets fed into the Agile Product Delivery team's backlog as stories and epics and features, et cetera. And that's a pick for, okay, I've got the objectives of the product release, right? Those objectives, when the Agile product team gets it, they say, okay, I got 10 weeks to deliver a body of work. You need to start mapping the objectives across those sprints. When do I start to enable objective 1, 2, and 3, and 4? I learned that at Honeywell because we were running in Agile mode, and our project sponsor was like, yeah, but I don't understand. Where's the milestones, is what she asked. And I was like, oh, God, milestones. But what she was getting at is, how do I see when some of the key objectives are ready for us to start playing with? So it's important to get those objectives laid out to the Agile team so that when they're doing sprint planning, they're dragging the objective. I'm going to do these in sprint 2. I'm going to do these in sprint 4. I'm going to do these by sprint 5. Okay. And then all the supporting stories that they need to do to deliver. All right. And then you got the regular sprint planning on every 2-week cadence. Right. Some key input around the roles. The product manager is a business person. They are the author of the analytic products and the features and capabilities and objectives of those products on behalf of the business community. So they'll typically be working with different functional owners, business owners across the business. They might be working on behalf and acting as the voice of the end customer if we're sending analytics out to our customers. And then they work in concert with architect groups, especially where I need to have enablers added to the architectural runway such that they're installed before I start the body of work that needs that technology in place. Okay. And then on the more technical side, that's a more business-facing side. On the technical side, the product manager partner is an important liaison role to the product manager. So the product manager is a business person that understands the business objectives and needs and all that. The product manager partner is translating that down to the Agile team and guiding the Agile team. When the Agile team says, oh, we're stuck here. Ooh, that's going to compromise this objective. Let me go talk to the product manager and see what we can do to pivot or persevere, right? So this is a really important role. And then, of course, Scrum Master, servant leader to that team. And nice cross-functional team covering all the key elements of building data warehouses and delivering analytics. So there's this company, this was a real customer, I just changed their name, that does water management systems and road construction infrastructure. We sold them a portfolio planning engagement, so a series of workshops where I gathered information. And when I run workshops, I wallpaper the room with easel pages, and the 3M sticky, and then I just start asking them questions, and I turn my back and I write every time I hear a phrase or a word, because I want them to see that their voice just got heard. Even if I tell people, don't critique each other's input. I just want, bring it all out until you guys don't have any more ideas. I'll clean up the bullets later, but I want your voice to come out. And then from there, do a bunch of offline analysis, and you build this canvas from all of that input from the agenda of the facilitated workshop, right? So the value streams are typically pretty large business functional areas. They could be, okay, in just about every company's case, you get at least two value streams. One for your internal process optimization, optimizing marketing, sales, blah, blah, blah. And then if you have goods and services you're selling to customers that have an opportunity to have value-added capabilities bolted onto those goods and services through analytics, like especially, I'm going to use in the oil and gas industry, when I worked at Honeywell, we sold them the nuclear reactors, the catalyst converters, the heat exchangers. These are big pieces of equipment that if they malfunction, lives are lost, right? So we had a bunch of sensors around that, and then they built monitoring control software over the top of that just would alert a support engineer if things are going out of bounds, but they also built predictive models so that we were predicting an outage before the outage happened, which was called condition-based maintenance. And then we built a digital twin of that physical equipment. We had a digital twin running in parallel so that we could do the simulations of outage from the digital twin. So in this case of this company, they had two value streams as well. But it ended up being the sales organization, which they called commercial, versus the operations organization. And I was pushing for, well, let's do one for water management and one for road infrastructure. But the more we analyzed that, it wasn't the right logical fit. And where I was really trying to go is I wanted to do the IoT stuff on the water management stuff, but the CEO said, no, we're not ready for that. So, you're paying the check. Anyway, so there's a value stream, and then you get a feel for what kind of high-level solutions, who are the end benefactors of the analytic value, and then understand key external partners that are going to be part of helping us enable this program. And then a little bit of a double click of the solutions down into some high-level activities that we got performed. And then what's the draw on the enterprise in the business community because we do need their active engagement. We can't build this stuff in a vacuum. And then you get an idea for what's going to cost and what kind of high-level value propositions are we going to get back. And then that's supported by an inventory of product releases defined in the form of an epic. Right? So it's got the key objectives and then some of the high-level things we're looking to do around what are we looking to optimize. And given I want to optimize process, there's going to be the potential for getting governance involved because we want to change the way data is being captured. We might have to define rules for quality, define rules for governance, regulatory compliance, et cetera, right? And then more details that support that high-level outcome on the canvas for this particular product release. And then you start to define what are some of the key features that support the epic that we're going to deliver, right? So I got analytic features. Some are new, some are revising an existing one. I have new data flows. I've got new sources of data coming in, right? Those are all features in the analytic world. And then they also had a need for enabling technologies because that didn't have a cloud data warehouse. So we talked through, okay, well, let's implement a database platform. Let's find an integration tool that meets their needs, et cetera, right? And then what we want to do is, okay, I got all these features, but what's the next MVP? What's my prioritization scheme for making that happen? A technique that Lean suggests is the weighted shortest job first, which pretty much says the higher score here means the most relative to all the other features, that's going to give me the most value in the shortest amount of time, right? And then you take the business through a ranking exercise. I won't go through the details, but it's pretty much what value is it? Relative to all the other features, which one gives you the lowest value? That gets a 1. And then from there, it's just order of magnitude, more value. And then you do the same for time to market, time criticality. Which one has the least time sensitivity to it? That would get a 1. Which one's most time sensitive? That would get an 8. And then you would do the same for, is it a risk reduction or an opportunity enablement, which is slightly different than business value, right? I have to do it to reduce risk. Doesn't give me any value, but it protects, it's an insurance kind of thing for the company. These get summed together into the cost of delay. And what that means is that's the total value the business gets or does not get if you delay it. You know, so deliver it timely, right? And then you divide that by what's the effort relative to all the other efforts. What's the simplest thing with the least amount of unknowns that we can deliver? Which feature is that? That gets a 1, and then you do order of magnitude on top of it, right? So for this company, we did that exercise first with the business community. I had them do it, and then I invited IT back in, and I hid that, and I said, okay, IT, tell me which ones are easiest versus most difficult. And from a facilitation standpoint, the reason I do that is I don't want bias influence IT's ranking, and I don't want bias influencing the business's ranking, because if they say, well, that one's really hard, I want this independent input of the rankings before I calculate the score. So then you sum this up, you divide it by the job size, sort it descending, that's your candidate right there. That's the first one we ought to build, okay? And then you do the same, I'm not showing it here, but you would do the same thing for the architectural enablers, right? Okay? So, portfolio plan, you build it with a 12 to 18 month planning horizon on it. You set up a regular cadence to visit that quarterly, which is nice because that lines up with your product release plans that are supposed to be happening quarterly, right? Then you build your product release plan. Since that has a 6 to 9 month planning horizon, you should visit the product release plan monthly, right? So that I get this kind of monthly cadence happening before the quarterly kind of cadence review. And then prioritizing those features and whatnot that I'm going to deliver over the next 10 to 12 weeks. And within there, what's the first MVP I'm going to deliver for the product release? Right. That's all I got to say about that.